Good morning, YouTube viewers. Hashtag my global family. This is Dre Abeita, the YouTube academic, here with your hashtag Abeita critical thought of the day. Today is Monday. Today is Monday. You guys better check to see I'm here tomorrow. Oh my gosh, Mondays are so hard for me to survive because I teach 2 of my master's classes today. But that's okay, you guys. These amazing social workers, soon to be social workers, are master's students at New Mexico Highlands, the School of Social Work. And without these amazing folks to really keep me going the last couple of weeks, I don't know what I would have done. And that's what's amazing about being an educator, you guys. Our classrooms, our communities, the places where we live, the places where we do work, or where we go shopping, this is our family. These communities literally are our lifelong families. And when we all stick together and we help support each other and we make sure that we survive, together we thrive. So please don't forget to reach out for your resources. Ask for help when you need to. Oh my gosh, you guys, this weekend, I was about to lose it. And so Saturday, I was overwhelmed. We had an amazing grant meeting on Friday, and I had more things to do on Saturday and all this grading, and I was overwhelmed. And my parents needed a shopping trip. And I told my partner, I was like, oh my God, I have to go shopping. And he was amazing, and he actually took it off my plate. And so he went to Albertsons and he helped my parents out and he did all the deliveries and did the errands for the day so that I could just have a day to rest. So thank you so much. Hashtag my partner is amazing. And don't forget, you guys, to go out there today and say thank you to all those amazing people who make sure that we don't go insane every single day. Today's topic is about disability, you guys. So I am a PTSD diagnosed scholar, activist, revolutionary. Absolutely. And yes, it is revolutionary for me to just talk about my trauma. I am a survivor of rape and molestation as a child on a reservation. I talk about my issues not to make my people look bad or not to bring about shame or not to what I'm trying to do, right? Instead of saying what I'm not trying to do, I say what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is raise awareness of an issue that defined my life, right? It affected how I grew up. It affected my identity. It affected my self-confidence and the ability to love myself. I am proud to say, as a 39-year-old Native American woman, that I truly love myself. And that's hard to say because it took me 39 years in order to get to that point. If you had asked me a year ago, I could not say that. It literally has taken a lot of critical consciousness development and therapy and talking with my friends and support from my family and reimagining a positive self-identity in order to reclaim who I am, right? So as a person who has been diagnosed with PTSD, and that was due to being a survivor of sexual trauma as a child, as well as a police brutality incident in 2008, which I successfully sued, and then as well as a predatory academic relationship, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, you guys, when is it going to end? When am I going to be smart enough? When am I going to be strong enough? When am I going to be able to see these predators? And I'll tell you, it takes a lot of work because I will give people the benefit of the doubt. I will believe them and I will help them to my own detriment. And that has not been helpful or positive, right? As an activist, I wanted to go out and help everyone and everything all the time. And that wore me out, and it was not sustainable, and it hurt me, and it hurt my family, it hurt my financial family standing, and it put a lot of stress on my life, right? And so I had to really start making boundaries. As a person with PTSD, I really wanted to help people because I had been hurt, right? And I wanted to stop other people from being hurt as well. So I went and I gave out my little heart, but it was too much, and it was hurting my family, and it was hurting my own health. So I had to step back and start making some boundaries. And part of that was asking for help. And part of that is something that I'm going to talk about today, which is called accommodations. So in 1990, yes, I know that's incredibly late, but in 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, right? And that's why when you look at some of the infrastructure around, we now have wheel ramps, and we have doors that open, and we have handicapped bathrooms. That was not a legal requirement for anywhere in our country before 1990. So think about that. What did people with disabilities do when they couldn't, they didn't have a ramp to go in the building, or they didn't have accessible restrooms, right? Additionally to that, it goes beyond the physical, right? So under the Americans with Disabilities Act, I am also covered for my educational needs. So when I was a master's student and currently now a doctoral student at the University of New Mexico, I have accommodations that are under paperwork, right? So if you are in a school, either APS for K-12 or any K-12 school or charter school regardless, everyone is bound by this law that is called the Americans with Disabilities Act. And it ensures that we have access to an equitable education, which also means asking for something by law called accommodations. And I always tell my students, you guys, please, if you have any sort of diagnoses, it could be PTSD, it could be ADHD, there are a variety of symptoms. I have some students with arthritis that can't write, so they are allowed to ask for accommodations, like a computer program called Dragon Naturally Speaking, which allows them to speak and it writes for them. I've also had other students who have been triggered through violence, and they're not able to write right now. And so I've done other accommodations like oral history, right? As a Native American scholar revolutionary, I try to use indigenous epistemologies, which basically means indigenous ways of knowing in order to make sense of the world. Oral history, telling our own stories to make sense of our own lived experiences, is older than time itself. And for my students to call me and do a conference call for 10 or 15 minutes to replace a 1 to 2 pager makes sense to me. Not only does it help me with grading, it also helps not trigger them with writing. Right now is a very hard time for a lot of people. We have a global pandemic going on that is unprecedented. And so please, as I encourage all of my students, even in the workplace, your job is held by the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, and they're required to make sure that you are successful in the workplace, including accommodations such as your seat, if you need an ergonomic seat, right? Or if you need conferences, right? So for example, I was triggered every time one of my supervisors emailed me and asked questions in a certain manner, and also CC'd the rest of the department. I felt like that was triggering, and I felt like I was being called out or being thought that I wasn't a good instructor, right? Like if I didn't know this answer, there's a misnomer in academia that teachers, instructors, professors know everything. Guess what, people? We're wrong. We're wrong all the time. We're human beings and we grow. And I am not afraid to ever tell my students when I'm wrong, right? And I always tell them, don't believe me, go out and figure it out for yourself. Go do your own research. What I'm trying to do is help you develop your critical consciousness. So again, just to recap today, don't forget to go back out there and find anyone and everyone who supported you and say thank you so much. And in addition, the reason that I talk about the issues that I've survived, right, is not to bring up trauma again, but to start a path of healing and wellness and critical thinking so that I can keep my self-confidence and keep knowing that I am worthy of love and respect. And finally, if you are an educator or a person who has a child who needs accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, it is often called an individualized education plan. And you can contact your educator, your teacher, your classroom teacher for your student in order to make those modifications. They will push back, you guys, but tell them, no, this is my right. You can also do more research on what kind of accommodations might be the best fit for your child. But please get that paperwork in, because as an educator, I can advocate more powerfully on behalf of my students because I said, see here, this accommodation is on this paper by law. We have to make sure that the student is successful. And I'm not saying that my peers are not well equipped for this, but to be honest, I have a background and degree in education. And all of my peers are social workers. And so no, not everyone is well educated in knowing what disability is or how to navigate the systems with accommodations. So please, please seek out all and any available resources at your local institutions, including your places of work. As adults with disabilities, our workplaces are also held to the same standard and must abide by accommodations. Just get your paperwork in so we can defend our rights. As always, be safe. #MyGlobalFamily. This is Dre Abeita, the YouTube academic. Have a wonderful Monday.